Call the Fireboard meeting to order.
Not on that list.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Forrest? Here. Mr. Ingraffia? Here. Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, present.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Ritchell?
Here.
Mr. Mayu?
Here.
Mr. Wells?
Here.
Mr. Vial?
Here.
Ms. Hyde? Here. Ms. Coates? Here.
Okay, all the president, we do have a quorum. Anyone wishing to address any agenda item at this time? Okay, I will entertain the motion to accept the February 22nd meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, who made that motion?
With the line there.
Mr. Wells made the motion. Ms. Bridget seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Forrest?
Yes.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Ritchell?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Kim?
Yes.
Yeah.
She called.
Wake up.
Big
Motion
call.
passes in this order. Hammond Department items approval of emergency repair truck.
Okay, the Hammond Fire Department, it's their rescue truck, F-550, right? Yeah. That was sent to Bill Hood Ford. If you look in the packet was sent, they did send a quote to do it under emergency repair. They desperately need to get this truck back. But the original quote was $13,604.33. Today, we get notified that after they started getting into the motor, they found some additional damage. And that additional damage is another $3,848.32, which brings the total repair to $17,452.65. So I know in your packet it's showing $13,604, but like I said, today we got notified that there's an additional charge for some more damages.
All right, what's the wishes of the council?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Mayu.
Second.
Second by, was that you, John?
Mr. Vial. Yeah.
Second by Mr. Ingraffia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ingraffia?
Yeah.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno? Mr. Ritchell?
Yep.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest?
Motion passes and it's so ordered. Independence Fire Matters, ratification of approval of part-time positions.
The chief had submitted some paperwork, all necessary paperwork for this. He has 3 positions, part-time at $9 per hour.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Bruno, second by Ms. Hyde. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruno? Yes. Mr. Ritchell?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes. Motion passes and so ordered. Wilma Fire Matters, ratification of approval of full-time positions.
All right, same thing here. The chief did submit the paperwork, necessary paperwork. He has 2 positions at full-time and 1 position part-time, but they're all at $11 per hour.
Motion by Mr. Forrest, second by Mr. Ingraffia. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ritchell?
Yes.
Mr. Mayu?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Motion passes and it's so ordered. Fifth Ward Fire Matters, approval of purchase.
8th Ward.
Approval to purchase truck.
April.
I'm sorry, 8th Ward. Approval to
Okay.
purchase truck.
The chief has went out and looked at a truck on state contract. The truck is a tanker truck. He is wanting to purchase a 4,000-gallon tanker with a 750 GPM pump. The price of the truck is $364,598. He does get a discount on a prepay if you pay it in full. He wants to, now he does want to finance this truck. He is asking to put $120,000 down, leaving a financing amount of $239,803. He's going to have 10 annual payments. It's a 10-year note at 3.11%. The annual payments comes out to $28,375.77. The chief is not here to speak on behalf of this. There might have been some questions from some of the members of the council. The interest that's being charged on this truck is going to equate to $43,954.70. I spoke to Mr. Dennis James concerning this truck. There are several different options. One, we can ask him to put more down payment on this truck, and it's less to finance. That's one option. Another option is at 3.11%, we've done this in the past to where we have asked one of the departments that has a surplus that we can ask them to put up the money. Right now, the interest rate that we're receiving in the checking accounts is at 0.75, and I was going to bring that up later, but it's at 0.75%. And speaking with Dennis James, he said we can, propose to one of these departments that we'll pay them 2%. So they're getting 1.25% more than their money that's sitting in a bank earning 0.75%. There is a lot of questions concerning this, so it's really the pleasure of the board. Or we can go ahead and let the chief go ahead and decide on this and pay this interest to an out-of-state company, that the money would not stay here in Tangipahoa Parish.
How often does this truck be?
Do you know if the chief looked into other options?
As far as I know, no, he has not. I did speak to some other manufacturers. There's Ferraras, there's Pierce, there's Sutphin. So there's, and then this Bonaventure. So there's like 4 manufacturers. I did speak to them, and it was not reached out.
I really was speaking about the option that Dennis James made. That sounds.
The interest.
No, we can approach, there are a couple of departments that we can approach to do this.
Yeah, I think we've done that before, but go ahead, Joey.
How often does this truck get used?
Well, look, a tanker truck's going to roll out on any structure fire, automatic alarms. I did provide y'all with some information on that, on how many calls. So the truck, yes, it will be used. Now, it's also a 4,000-gallon tanker with, I'm sorry, the weight of that, you're talking 30-something tons. It's,
Well, the 4,000 gallons of water is 8.5 pounds per gallon.
8.33 pounds.
So you're looking at 32.
32.
I don't know if we got a bridge that can
32
hold that.
tons.
So it's 36,000, it's 36 tons.
Is there
Right
not?
now, what do they have right now?
Yeah.
What gallon truck do they have?
He is looking to, if you look at the packet that he has submitted,
The
he
one
is
that-
looking to replace, a tanker, a 1981 tanker, but he wants to give that tanker to the Hustler Fire Department. So
You know how
he
many
wants to
gallons
take,
it- you know how many gallons it holds, man?
I do not know the gallons.
Is it an option to purchase a fairly new used one? At
Absolutely.
maybe half the price or whatever?
I did look into that. It took all of 5 minutes to find one that was, it's a used car lot, so a fire truck.
Right.
Uh,
They don't get used that much, and mileage can't be that much on them.
Well, if you look on here, this is correct. In all of the year of 2020, there was 15 structure fires.
It was used 15 times.
Now, there's automatic alarms that he is gonna roll the
300
truck to,
miles.
so you can't.
Right.
So an automatic alarm, they're gonna take a tanker truck?
Yeah, it could turn out to be a structure fire, yes.
I think he,
What were some of the prices of the used ones? Didn't you look up some of those?
Yes, you know, I mean, this being $364,000, there was one, it was a 3,500 gallon tanker. I think it was a 2018 or 2017, one of those. And it was right at 199, you know?
That's almost half the price.
Yeah, you're saving 150,000.
He could pay that off in 2 or 3
Look, I
years.
mean, I'm not gonna say that the chief, you know, he doesn't run a whole lot of calls. I'm not gonna
Right.
go against that. But it's also, you know, it's more of a financial thing that when you're, having to go out and finance this truck, it is a question that being brought up.
Well, there's two questions. There's two questions.
Right.
One,
And a 17 or 18, yeah.
if this truck's financed past the tax millage, I don't think we have 10 years on either millage.
Right.
You know, I believe next year we go up for,
And just so, for y'all that don't know this, if by some chance the millage doesn't pass,
Mm-hmm.
the parish council is responsible for the payment of that vehicle.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, if the truck that he has is good enough to go to Husser for them to use it, what are we getting rid of the truck for?
that's a question that the chief could have to answer.
Okay, and then the third thing is, this is one of the chiefs that is always complaining there's not enough money. So, which is it? Is there enough money? I'm just saying, I know in Independence we bought used trucks.
Absolutely.
We had a rescue unit that went down in the storm. We bought a cab and chassis, repainted the bed, put it on there, saved over $250,000. LaRondre bought a used truck. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with a used truck. But it almost looks like when one fire department buys one, it's like a domino. I mean, we're not buying these things, I mean, $368,000 and a $28,000 note for the next 10 years. Think about that.
Well, with $40,000 of interest just going out the door.
Yeah.
Well, bring up that point about the water, the capacity of the.
Well, then you're looking at, we don't have a bridge, a single span bridge or a double span bridge in this parish that can carry that weight. And you remember, it wasn't too long ago, he was up here complaining about the bridges, that the bridges couldn't hold his truck that he had already. And we haven't fixed those bridges.
Most of this calls are more back roads.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, I mean, speaking to some of these departments, you know, 2,500, 3,000 gallons, the max it would be 3,500. 4,000 gallon tanker, hey, look, I mean, that's great. I mean,
Does any other stations have that big of a truck?
no, ma'am, they don't.
and then you gotta remember too, all these new subdivisions out there, there's fire hydrants out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't suck off of them, but you can load off of them. So if you go to a 3,000 or a 3,300 gallon truck and you got fire hydrants all over, you know, I just think we need to, well, I'm not gonna say that's y'all down there. Y'all do
Yeah.
whatever y'all want, but there's a lot of questions that need
What's
to
the
be
capacity
answered.
of the old truck?
He doesn't
I don't know the gallons, the tank size.
Johnny, do you know what size that tanker is? Any of y'all firemen know? It's probably a 3,000.
Somewhere in that range, you know.
What do y'all have?
They have a
I think it's-
2,500.
What you got, John?
They have a 3,000.
I think it's closer to 22.
You got a 25.
I don't see anybody from Eighth Ward here.
No. But I have one other comment. I'm just looking through the used stuff, just out of curiosity. Prices are $225, $239, $285, and the 2021 for $199,000.
There you go.
So, you know, I think maybe we ought to just, Chief's not here. you know,
Bring this up when he's here.
Table it.
That's what I think.
All right, what's the
Maybe
wishes
y'all
of
want
the
to go sit
council?
down and talk to him before he comes up here.
What's the wishes?
I'll move the table.
I'll
Motion by Mr.
second.
B at the table,
I'll second.
second by Mrs. Hyde. Roll call.
Mr. Mayu? Mr. Wells?
Yeah.
Mr. Vial?
Yes.
Ms. Hyde?
Yes.
Ms. Coates?
Yes.
Mr. Forrest? Mr. Ingraffia?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Motion passed unanimously.
I have one other question, Bill, if you don't mind. 2021, is it used or is it just
It's like it's a new dealer. They just listed it brokering that truck.
Because it's 199,000, it's
Yes.
2021.
How big a tank is it?
It doesn't say on here, doesn't have.
I looked for, like some of the used ones, like 3,000, 3,500 gallon tanks. That's the ones I looked at.
3,000, I'm sorry, it is on there.
3,000.
Pretty big.
So, I mean, look,
And look, if he was gonna put 125 down, he may have enough to
Pay cash.
buy that one, pay cash for it, and don't have to pay anything.
That's a good.
look, and
Definitely not no $43,000 for any.
yeah, I mean, going to
Yeah,
out of state that you wouldn't,
okay,
okay,
we good?
yes, sir.
Monthly reports and registers. Admin report.
And then
All
Dennis.
right, there's not much on the administrator's report. One of the things, actually I have two things. One of the things I wanted to let y'all know, I talked to some of y'all about the interest rate that we were receiving on our checking account. We have a contract with First Guarantee. We were making very good interest. Then the economy bottomed out. A while back, I keep an eye out on the statements that come in, and we weren't making very much interest on it. And I got with Dennis James, and I spoke to him. It was like 0.10% interest. Spoke to Dennis James. We did call the bank at that time. This is several months back, and they said, "Okay, well, we're sorry, but we'll give y'all." We will set a floor, a minimum of 0.40%. So everything was fine. That went on for several months. Looking at the bank statements, and then I was looking at some other bank statements that came in, and I noticed that the interest rate was higher than some of these other bank statements I looked at. So I called the bank, and I said, "Look, what is the deal with this? We have the money that we have for the fire district in the account, and y'all are paying us 0.40, where other places are paying more. What can you do?" Well, the most we'll go is 0.50. I said, "Well, I'd like to meet in person and speak to them and see what we can come up with." So we did. We met at Dennis James' office. Mr. Joseph was there. Myself, Mr. Joseph, Dennis James, the two representatives from the bank. The minute the man walks in from the bank, he said, "Look, we're going to go set a floor at 0.75. Well, that's all we were asking, was to be fair. So they did amend the contract to go and reflect that. So it was retroactive back to February, to where now the bank account is the minimum is a floor now. The minimum that we can receive is 0.75%.
Good.
Yeah, that was great. And I would tell you, if minutes were not in place, though, we would have missed that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other thing. The Hammond Fire Station. I just spoke to the assistant chief. It's still not complete. They're still working on it. So it's been
Since Thanksgiving, hadn't it?
I'm
Wasn't that
sorry?
in November? Thanksgiving?
Yes, it was. So, yeah, it's been quite some time, but he said they're doing the floors. They're doing the floors now. So that's all I have on the administrator's report. But,
One thing, I think we missed honoring one of our fire chiefs, unless it's slipped over my head. John Foley, weren't you elected to?
All over the fire chiefs association.
Well,
that was,
We did that last.
did we?
couple meetings ago.
Good for you, man. So now we don't have to give you any more money, right? Ben?
I gotta get the action some more.
Oh, by the way. Anything else?
Well, I probably should have done it in the regular meeting, but I'll say it here. I want to say congratulations. We have a new 5th District Congress lady.
Absolutely.
And,
Oh, yeah, Miss Letlow.
Ms. Letlow, and she won by a tremendous margin. There was 12 people in that race, and she garnered 65% of the vote. So
Yeah.
That wasn't too shabby, and I think she will be sworn in later this week or this weekend, so
Yeah, this weekend.
congratulations to her.
Miss Julia. Anything else from the council?
Mr. Joseph, I'd like you to, possibly look at, creating a Fireboard Finance Committee. Dennis calls quite often with, like, money questions or like this big purchase and stuff. And every other board, we have a finance committee,
Remind me.
so I just want to kind of.
Okay, we'll look into it, not a problem.
I think it's a great idea, just don't put me on it.
Who's gonna make you in charge?
I think we can work that out, Kim. Well, Mr. Wells? Lionel?
I was wrong about the clock earlier. It's not, it hadn't been set for, but I move that we adjourn.
Mr. Wells moved for adjournment.